Teachers, what was the best smartass response from a student you have heard? Not a teacher, but this happened in an upper level French class where you can only speak French. If you speak English, the teacher scolds you in French. My friend walked in a few minutes late for a quiz and wasn't allowed to take it. My friend looked at the teacher and said, "In English that's bull." The teacher looked back angrily and said, "Also in English what did you just say my friend?" And Français monsieur. He got kicked out of the class. I've told this story on Reddit before, but this really shy kid that doesn't speak much was getting picked on by this mean girl. When the teacher tells her, "Be nice to him, he might be your boss someday," without missing a beat he replies, "No thanks. I don't want to be a pimp when I grow up." We had a teacher that would always threaten to phone our home if we were misbehaving, which he promptly stopped after. Teacher, what would your mother say if I called home right now? Student, she would say hello. I wasn't in the class, but my buddy swears that one time his history teacher called a student's mother because he was sleeping in class. He said the teacher got all the parents' numbers at the beginning of the year. I went to a mostly black school, and evidently this kid had one of those stern black moms. The teacher doesn't say a word to the kid who's asleep. He quietly told the mom he was sleeping in class, and would she like to have a word with him about that. He holds the cell phone to the kid's ear and she ducking goes off. My buddy said you could hear her across the room. That poor kid spent the rest of the day walking the green mile. Boy, have you lost your damn mind? Why are you sleeping in class? I work myself to the bone, so you can get yourself an education, and you sleep through it? Lord Jesus give me strength. If you can't give me a functional demonstration of a Mandelbrot said when you get home, I'ma tan your hide. I'm not a teacher, but I had a friend in school who was always pretty dramatic. She actually did have IBS though. So we're in this big teacher's class and she keeps asking to use the bathroom. The teacher says no. My friend's like, "I have IBS though." And the teacher is like, "Tell me what those initials mean and I will let you go." So she screams, "It means I have to sh," and takes off out of the room. Well, this one was during coaching classes for entrance exams. The maths teacher reduced a given problem to a simpler form and challenged the students. So this expression doesn't fit any of the given standard forms for us to find the particular integral. So what do you propose we do? A kid from the back shouted. The next question. Not a teacher, but witnessed as a student. We had a substitute who was leafing through the yearbook and got to the senior superlatives. Our school mascot was the Eagles. She started reading some, if then aloud and said, "Oh that's nice, Sarah." Most school spirited a student answered back, "Yeah, because she's always spread eagle." The substitute couldn't keep from laughing, as much as she tried not to. Damn, I had an eagle as my high school mascot. Wish I'd thought of that one. Let me point out that I'm female, since people will assume I'm a guy. I taught in an inner city school. We were talking about prime numbers, so I would have kids give me a number, and we'd work out if the number was a prime number on the board. One kid wasn't paying attention, so me being a young teacher, I thought I'd catch him off guard and call on him. It went something along the lines of, "Mark, do you have a number? Ha, I need your number." Sheet. Play it cool, girl. We can talk after class. The whole room lost their and I turned red from embarrassment. They then laughed at how red I got. Spanish class in high school. Two guys who grew up in Spanish-speaking families were goofing off at the back of class. One guy says that he could stand the weight of another person standing on his stomach, and the other guy, who was probably just shy of 200 pounds, doesn't believe him. So the first guy gets on the ground in the back of class, and the other guy gets up and stands on his stomach. The teacher sees this and immediately yelled at the guy on the ground to get back into his seat. Without missing a beat, he says, "I can't. He's standing on me." The other guy doesn't move because he wasn't yelled at. Meanwhile, the teacher continues to be upset that the guy on the ground isn't listening to her. How the hell could you talk with 200 pounds standing on you? With your mouth. A kid in my math class would sleep on his desk. One day the teacher called on him to answer a problem on the chalkboard. He woke up, solved the problem on the board with zero difficulty, and then just went back to sleep. The teacher repeated the same thing a few times with similar results, and then just let him sleep the rest of the year. I'm not a teacher, but this happened in one of my classes a few weeks back. My math teacher is a pretty chill guy and likes to share personal info every now and then, so he decides to tell the class he is getting married this summer break. Most of the class congratulates him and wishes him well. This one girl from the front of the class shouts out, "It has been legal for a year now, why did you wait this long?" The whole class starts ducking, dying laughing, and the teacher is just sitting there with his mouth open. A kid mocked me when I said, "Don't do that." I started to yell at him and he said, "No man, that's a song." He then spontaneously came up with a rap song called "Don't Do That" and his friends started making beats. I was no longer mad. Does this work for being pulled over? My friend Brian was in his homeroom class back in high school. The topic of a came up as everyone was asking each other why they are either against or pro. We're in Texas, so you can assume the ideas and opinions of the majority of the class. So my friend is a very intelligent and quiet fellow, minding his own business in a corner of the room. The class turns to him to get his opinion on the matter. Someone, "Brian, you've been quiet over there, so what about you? Are you pro-able?" Brian, "Well, I wouldn't say I'm pro, but I'm pretty good with a coat hanger." Jaws drop. The room is silent as everyone is registering what just happened. Glad I made it to school that day. Just yesterday actually, one of my classes is fun in that we give each other hard times, but all in good fun and accomplish a lot. A girl starts giggling uncontrollably for no reason, and she's a bit of an airhead, so I asked her if she saw something shiny and if that entertained her. Another boy jumps in and says, "Yeah mister, your head. I'm going bald." I wanted to pretend to be mad but it was just too damn funny. I have a smart-ass response from a teacher story to share. In 8th grade science class, we were learning about the planets and the usual class clown, let's call him K, was making the usual immature jokes about Uranus. Our teacher Mr. P, who was a younger, pretty chill guy, wasn't having it, so Mr. P tells K to go outside. When K asks which door he should use to leave, Mr. P first says it doesn't matter, but quickly comes back with an answer and says, "You know what? Why don't you go out the back door since you like Uranus so much?" The whole class went crazy. Definitely one of the best teacher responses to dumb student comments that I've witnessed. In high school, one of my teachers was having a disagreement with a student. I can't remember what it was about, but finally the teacher asked him if she wanted her to call his mother. The student replies, "Do it then. My mama will agree with me too." The teacher then asks him to leave her class. He goes, "You know what, I'm gonna call my mom for you." He then whips out his cell phone and calls his mom on speaker. "Hey, ma, this teacher want to talk to you." The whole class just lost it. Not me, but a colleague told me this story. It was one of his first years teaching, so he was about 22-24 at the time. It was a junior high science class and he told a student to stop messing around and get back to work. The student's response, "Man, I got B's older than you. All I'm looking at right now is a B younger than me. Back to work." Samuel L. Jackson. Not a teacher but witnessed as a student. There was literally 30 seconds left of class and my buddy starts to pack up. The teacher didn't seem to mind, but when the bell rang and buddy got up to leave, the teacher said the classic line, "The bell doesn't dismiss you, I do." And buddy just continues to leave, gets in the doorway of the class and says, "If it decides when I come, it decides when I'll leave," and just leaves the class. The hero we need. For context, this was at a Catholic school, and the teacher, a very stern fire and brimstone nun, and the student, an extremely liberal Anglican, had been at each other's nerves all year. After correcting the teacher on something she had gotten wrong, the nun said something along the lines of, "I hope you learn to enjoy the heat, because it's going to be very hot when you end up in the deepest level of hell," and entirely unruffled, without a moment's hesitation she responded, "Actually, according to Dante's Inferno, the deepest level of hell is made of ice, but don't worry, I'll bring a jacket." I was showing Cosmos in a break between classes, and one kid seemed particularly enthralled by the tardigrade, so his wise-ass friend goes, "Small minds are amused by small things." The kid retorted, "Why do you think I hang out with you?" The whole class went bananas and even I went over and high-fived that kid. It was a great class. The victim was laughing as hard as anyone. I miss those kids. Not a teacher, but in my high school chemistry class, one of my classmates was quietly working on an assignment. with headphones despite the school policy against it. He wasn't bothering anyone, but since the teacher was a hard ass, he approached the student. Teacher, give me your iPod. Classmate, give me your wallet. Joke's on him. That guy is a high school teacher. The iPod is worth more. Smash that like and subscribe button like you would smash your crush. And don't forget the bell for good measure.